What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of First and Learning with your boy, Cori's Corner. It's a football podcast, and I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I just recorded a 30-minute episode, and I was not recording. So maybe I'm a little bit warmed up or better warmed up for today's episode because I just ran through it, which is crazy work. Now, if you are new here, you don't know who I am. My name is Cori. On social media, I just teach and talk about football, the game. Now, I do a little bit of analysis in season, but we are in the off season, baby. And the NFL is right around the corner. Right around the corner. And if you are anything like me, you want to know more about the sport that you love so much, the sport that I love so much, and that's what we're going to do here. The off season, we spend time going over rules and terminology definitions so that you know what you're talking about. You can see the game a little bit differently. You can enjoy the game on a different level than you have been able to before. You are here for that. Okay. If you have stumbled upon this podcast, it's exactly what it's here for. That's exactly what we're going to do. We do that in a couple of segments. So typically right now, we're going to go through the rule book specifically from the NFL football operations page. They publish the rule book every year, and we're going to read verbatim and talk about those rules and what they mean, some of the nuances, right? And then each week, I have viewers, including yourself, who will write in and ask questions because there is no question here. No dumb questions here. I call them dumb downs. That's what we're going to do. You can click the link in the description, go to the link in any of my bios, and submit a question that you may have that you want to get answered specifically about the game of football. And we're going to dumb it down. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get in there. There is no shame here. Ask all of those questions. And please hit that subscribe button, that bell button. And if you want to go even deeper into the game of football, you can follow your boy on Patreon. But for here, YouTube and everywhere else, you get it all for free. If you're listening, shout out to you. Hope you're having a great time. And if you're watching, what's up, my people? Let's get into it. Today, we're talking about what I'm holding in my hand right now. The most important part of the game is this football. Okay, sorry, y'all, if y'all can hear that. I'm eating Cheez-Its. I love Cheez-Its. This is not a Cheez-Its sponsor. Okay, I just love Cheez-Its. They're like my number one favorite snack. They do get all up in your teeth, though. And so sometimes I get a little smacky. I just got done eating it because I was frustrated. I had that 30-minute episode, but it wasn't recorded. So I said, hey, let me get a little snack. Calm me down. The two things in this world that I love: Cheez-Its and Spindrift. Boy, if y'all don't know what Spindrift is, I love sparkling water, and to me, it's the world's greatest sparkling water. Shout out to Spindrift, and also shout out to Cheez-Its. Anyway, let's talk about this football. Let's break it down. Wow, what a beautiful ball. I'm looking at it on camera right now. Beautiful color, man. Gold and black on the writing. The white laces, the brown. It just looks so great. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So if you're listening, don't feel too bad. You don't have to necessarily watch this part. And if you're watching and you're on that grill and you're just worried about if your burgers are going to get burnt because you're watching me on screen, you don't have to watch the screen yet. I'm going to pull up the rule book and we're going to go verbatim. We're going to talk about this ball, the official size, what it should look like, what should be on it. So you know if you got like a real football or if you got a fake football like me. I definitely have a fake football. It's okay, though. I know how a real one feels. Okay. So here's the rule book right here. And we are going to go to, where is it at? Rule 2, dimensions. Here we go. Rule 2, section 1 is the dimensions of the football. So you're looking at this football right now. Most of y'all have seen the football, but you probably didn't know that there's very specific specifications that have to happen to be able to be used in the National Football League. So the ball must be a Wilson hand-selected football bearing the signature of the commissioner of the league, Roger Goodell. When they say Wilson, they mean what I'm holding in my hand right now. That's the brand, right? They put Wilson in quotation. And I think they put the Wilson in quotation for a couple of reasons. One being maybe one day it'll change to something else, but right now it is Wilson. But if you look at my football, it has the NFL seal on it. It says official size. It kind of looks that brown color. It's been tackified. Ooh. But I don't see Roger Goodell's signature anywhere. So this is clearly not an NFL football or an NFL replica. I did not get a 1-to-1. I just got something that is around the same size. And I say around because let's talk about the size of a football. This says that the ball shall be made up to of an inflated urethane bladder enclosed in a pebble-grained leather case without corrugations of any kind. And how much you ask of inflated? It has to be between 12 and a half to 13 and a half pounds. And the color has to be a natural tan color. Now, if you look at my football again, it says inflate 7 to 9 pounds. So you tell me 7 to 9 pounds, is that 12 and a half to 13 and a half pounds? No, it is not. The referee shall be the sole judge as to whether all balls offered for play comply with these specifications, and a pump is to be furnished by the home club, and the ball shall remain under the supervision of the referee until they are delivered to the ball attendant just prior to the game. Now, I didn't go through all the other things because there's a long axis, right? That's 11 to 11 and 1/4 inches. There's a long circumference. That's 28 to 28 and a half inches. There's a short circumference. That's 21 to 24 and a quarter inches. There's a weight that means it needs to be 14 to 15 ounces. The referee has to know all these specifications, and they check all these specifications and make sure that the balls that they have are up to standard. And then right before the game, they'll give them to the ball attendant. And that's the person who is they're watching all the balls. They're responsible to giving the ball to the officials whenever they need to give the ball to the officials for the game. So no funny business happens like the deflate gate theory and things that happened back in the Patriots era with Tom Brady. Because I will tell you this, and this isn't a dig at Tom Brady, even though I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I was a center. I've held a ball in my hand that is an NFL standard football. They're big balls. And 12 and a half to 13 and a half pounds per square inch is inflated. Okay. It's sometimes not really good, especially if you have these sausage fingers like I have. I have a good hand circumference, but my fingers are kind of Vienna sausages. They're kind of hard to hold. It's like a rock sometimes. So you just be a little bit more lenient. Have some grace for these receivers trying to catch these balls, these running backs trying to hold these balls. I promise you, it is not as easy as you think, especially when you are trying to make moves and you have these huge humans who are hitting you at the same time. So when you're sitting on your couch saying, oh, he could have caught that, da-da-da-da. Yes, they're professionals, but if you got Tom Brady throwing you one of these balls, you got Brett Favre or somebody throwing you one of these balls, Cam Newton, this is a Joes versus pros thing. You're not catching these balls unless you have a lot of skill in doing so. So that's what the football is when it comes to the dimensions. Let's talk about the supply. Now, if you're a Cori's Corner fan, you would have seen this video that I made this week. I made a video about the supply of the footballs and how many footballs each team needs to have. But fear not, if you did not watch that video, you can listen to it or you can watch it right here. Interesting fact for you. So, how many balls, Cori, does each team have to bring? Well, you don't have to ask me. You can just read the rule book. Let's read it. Each team will make 12 primary balls, 12 backup balls, and 3 specially marked kicking balls available for testing by the referee no later than 2 hours and 2 hours and 15 minutes prior to the starting time of the game that meet the league requirements. Now, I said 3 specially marked kicking balls. We're going to use the term K balls. That's what they use. They actually have a K on them to signify that they are kicking balls. Now, in the event that a home team does not conform to the specifications or the supply of balls is exhausted, which would be crazy, which means you have no balls, the referee shall secure a proper ball from the visitors and failing that, use the best available ball. Any such circumstances should also be reported to the commissioner. Now, you just read this. 12 primary balls, 12 backup balls, and 3 K balls from each team. We shouldn't be running out of no footballs, okay? But our teams play with our balls, right? So, generally speaking, even though they're the same specifications, some people like to use, again, if I'm a quarterback and I like my balls to be at 12 and a half and not 13 and a half, well, I want to use my balls. I don't want to use the balls that is supplied only by the home team or only by the away team or whatever else. You bring your 12 and I'll bring my 12 or 24 technically, and we'll go from there. We'll play our own balls. Now, interesting enough, I played center, and sometimes the ball would get, it would be raining outside. The ball might get wet or muddy, or the field might be super slippery or whatever else. And I, as a center, do have the right, as the rules state, to request a playable ball from the referee or the official, and they will give me another ball to play. However, Caveat to that is that the game clock will not stop for such action. Okay. Unless there's like, an undue delay or something like that that's happening, then sure, the game clock will stop. But I can't just be like, yo, I need a new ball, and they're going to stop the clock. No, they're going to be like, cool, keep the clock running, and then we'll get you a new ball. You will see this happen in rain games or like snow games. So the next time you watch a game when it's raining and snowing, see how many times during one drive that a ball is getting swapped in and out. And you'll be kind of astonished how often it may happen, or you'll be astonished at how often it doesn't happen. Now, for me, I know my quarterbacks, and some of my quarterbacks, they didn't care. And there were others who wanted a dry ball as dry as possible as they can get. So if I know if it's getting a little too wet, I need to get a new ball in there. So that is the ball itself. Again, the most important piece of the game is the ball. And so now you know a little bit more about the ball. You know how long it needs to be, the circumference, you know what color it needs to be, how much it needs to be inflated to, what the weight is. It needs to have the signature on it from Roger Goodell. Like, there are a lot of specifications when it comes to the football, and you probably didn't know that. Maybe you did know it, but now you for sure know, because you're rocking with First and Learning, a Cori's Corner football podcast. All right. Now that you know about this ball, I'm going to put this ball down. I hope y'all heard that on the pod for all the listeners, the pop of that football. Oh man, I love holding football, man. It's just great. A little story about me. I love football so much, and I enjoy being a center, and I love catching it. I played tight end as well and stuff like that. And I would just sit in my bed and just throw the ball up, catch it one-handed, throw the ball up, catch it left-handed. And how other people may have slept with like a teddy bear when they were younger and stuff like that. But I ain't gonna lie, I used to sleep with the football. It just was that deep for me. I really loved the game and the sport. Anyway, enough about me and my sad, sappy stories about how much I love the game, and more about the definitions of the ball. Now, I need you all to put in your focus mode. Okay. If you got ADHD like me, right now is the time to take the Vyvanse so that you can focus in on these definitions, because I'm about to give you definitions about the ball and the possession on the ball, and it can get a little convoluted. I'm not going to lie. If you're watching and you see my screen, you can see there's a lot of words here. There's a lot of notes here. We won't go over all the notes. We will go over the actual definitions in the articles. But it can get a little convoluted. I encourage you, though. This is how it should be. You should be able to read something and have questions about it. Oh, do I fully understand that? Can I ask somebody else this? Boom, boom, boom. So we are now in Rule 3 of this rule book. It is definitions. We are in Section 2. Section 2 is called the ball and the possession of the ball. And there are 7 articles underneath this section of this rule. We're going to start with Article 1, which is dead ball. You've probably heard this before. Maybe you heard the official say dead ball foul, right? And you're like, oh, okay, I think I know what this means. Let's talk about what a dead ball is. Charge my Apple Pencil real quick. A dead ball is one simply that is not in play. Shout out to the NFL for being so simple. No, let's read it again. A dead ball is one that is not in play. And that is the time period during which the dead ball or the ball is dead and is can't read. The time period during which the ball is dead is between downs. Okay? It gets a little tricky. A dead ball is one that is not in play, and the time period during which a ball is dead is between downs. So this includes the interval during all timeouts, including intermissions like halftime or commercial breaks, and from the time the ball becomes dead until it is legally put into play. Now, I'm going to give you one scenario, and I want you to think about the scenario. So close your eyes if you have to. Please, God, if you're driving, do not do this. But if you are somewhere and you're just listening, take a seat real quick, and I want you to close your eyes and imagine this play, because we are going to use this play as an example over and over and over again for this segment. There's a team on offense. Pick whatever team you want to. Your favorite team on offense. It is 1st and 10, very early in the game. Okay? The quarterback says, hut. And he turns around and he hands the ball to the running back. That running back runs the ball left right off the left tackle for a gain of 3 yards. 3 and only 3. He hits that ground. He gets up. People pat him on the head. And they go back to the huddle to call a new play. That is a play. Let's get into where it would be a dead ball. So, boom, ball snap. Quarterback turns around, hands the ball to the running back. Running back runs off that left tackle. He gets the 3 yards. He falls to the ground. The referee blows the whistle. Dead ball. The ball is dead. From the moment that running back hit the ground, was tackled to the ground, and that official blew that whistle, it is now between first down and second down. It should now be 2nd and 7 because we gained 3 yards, and that is a dead ball. That ball is dead. Now the officials need to get the ball, find the spot where it will be put into play next, and place it there. And that's what we have second in Article 2, which is the ball ready for play. So after that, again, that same thing, quarterback snaps the ball, hands it to the running back. The running back runs off the left tackle, gets 3 yards, falls on the ground. The ball is dead. Now we're talking about a ball ready for play. So a dead ball is ready for play while the 40-second play clock is running when the ball is placed down by an official at the spot where the ball will be put in play next, or when the referee signals for a 25-second play clock to start. Once that play clock starts, that's because the ball has been put into play for the next play, and that means the ball is now ready for play. Now, this isn't a live ball yet. Excuse me. This isn't a live ball yet. The ball is just now ready for play. So it's 2nd and 7. They break the huddle, and they go to the ball. And let's rewind it. So when is the ball a live ball? Now we're back to that first down example. Remember that example. When is a ball a live ball? A live ball is one that is in play. A dead ball becomes live when it is either legally kicked on a free kick down, legally snapped on a scrimmage down, or legally kicked on a fair catch kick down. Okay. And that live ball continues to play until the down ends. So let's use the scrimmage down. So legally snapped on a scrimmage down. Let's use that as being a live ball. So remember, first down, we get to the line of scrimmage. The quarterback says, hut, hut. The ball is snapped. When that ball is snapped, the ball is live. It is no longer dead. The ball is live. Players, there's possession. There's change of possession potentially. There's change of hands, meaning the quarterback gave it to the running back. And until the person in possession either falls to the ground, runs out of bounds, or crosses the threshold of the end zone, or that ball falls on the ground, and there's possession, then the ball is live. At the end of that down, the ball is dead, but the ball is live. So now you know, dead ball, ball ready for play, live ball. Let's talk loose ball, because here it's about to get a little crazy over the next 3 articles. What do you think, real quick? I'm going to give you like 10 seconds of just silence. When I say loose ball, what comes to your mind? I asked this question before to some of my homies when I was thinking about this episode in production, and I got a lot of different answers. And so I think it's really important to talk about specifically what a loose ball is. So it says, and it reads, a loose ball is a live ball, not a dead ball. A loose ball is a live ball that is not in player possession. Example, any ball that's been kicked, any ball that's been passed, any ball that's been fumbled. All of those are loose balls. So in our example, we're gonna was there a loose ball in our example? Quarterback snaps the ball, hands the ball to the running back runs out the left tackle for 3 yards, he falls to the ground, the down is done. Was there a loose ball? No, there was a live ball. But let's change that example. Quarterback snaps the ball, he drops back for a pass, he passes it to the receiver on the left side. The receiver catches the ball, let's say again for 3 yards. Was there a loose ball? The answer is yes. So a loose ball is a live ball that is just not in player possession. So the time that the ball is in the air traveling to the receiver, that ball is loose. Crazy. Let's say it wasn't a handoff, it was a pitch back to the running back. when the quarterback pitched the ball back to the running back. The time the ball was in the air during the pitch, that's a loose ball. A kick, field goal kicker is kicking the kick. When the ball's in the air, that's a loose ball. Very interesting. So a loose ball is considered to be in the possession of the team, the offense, whose player kicked it, passed it, or fumbled it. So as a quarterback, when I pass the ball, even though it's a loose ball, it's still considered to be in possession of the team who is passing the ball. So this isn't a fumble because there was intention behind it, right? But it's a loose ball. And if it's a loose ball, then the possession is considered to be the offense's. This is important when we go to fumble and when we go to muff. Keep that in mind. It is a loose ball until a player secures possession or until the ball becomes dead. And if it has not been yet struck to the ground, a loose ball is in flight. So we talked about that. I've always thought it was pretty interesting. I can consider a ball to be loose. That's like in flight. Never thought about it that way. So let's talk about what a fumble is as opposed to a loose ball. So we're still sharing the screen. We're still talking about this. So a fumble is any act other than passing, successfully handing, or legally kicking the ball, which results in the loss of player possession. It is not a fumble if the player immediately regains control of the ball. A fumble ends when the player of either team possesses the ball and when the ball is dead. The use of the term fumble always means that there was possession of the ball of the player when the act occurred. Okay, so I would have to have possession. And for the life of me, I don't know why they didn't put player possession as like Article 1 in this section, because they use possession so often throughout the rest of the definitions. And then Article 7 is about player possession. But that's just a suggestion. NFL football operations, put player possession first. So if I have the ball, I have possession of the ball. If you're watching right now, you can see this. If I have possession of this football and for some reason I lose the ball, I already had possession, that would be a fumble. Now, is a fumble a loose ball? Question for you to answer. I think it may still be. But either way, you cannot, just a note to that, you can't intentionally fumble a ball forward because that may be illegal, right? So if I'm running and I know I'm maybe about to get caught up, but I want to score a touchdown, I can't fumble the ball and the ball go forward, and that's cheating. Unfortunately, that people have probably done this before, which is why this is a rule now. But that is very clearly cheating. Otherwise, you just keep fumbling the ball forward, and then whoever picks it up. I would do that like the entire game. Like if I'm about to get tackled, I just kind of throw the ball out and act like I lost control of it. Now let's talk about what a muff is. And actually, I have some film for you if you want to watch real quick about what an example of a fumble. So let's do that. How about we do that? That should be pretty fun, right? Let's look at old Cameron Newton, big tall man from Auburn. Played a little bit in the state of Texas too. All right, here we go. So this is Cam Newton when he played for the Carolina Panthers, and they're playing the Denver Broncos. And so he snapped the ball. He got the ball. And as you can see, he has possession of the ball. Now he's going to maybe attempt to pass, but before he makes an attempt to pass the ball, he gets hit by a defender, which maybe looks like maybe a Von Miller or somebody, and he loses the football. So at the point that he loses the football, that is then a fumble because there was possession before by the offensive player, which is Cam Newton. The ball comes loose from Cam Newton's hands. There was no intended pass with that, so it's not necessarily a loose ball, but now it is a fumble. That fumble is able to be recovered by either team. In this possession, it is recovered by the Denver Broncos in the end zone. And look, boom, because it's a clear recovery. Remember we talked about, we'll talk about player possession a little bit later. Because it's a clear recovery and they're in the end zone, the officials signal with their hands that it's touchdown. Now the ball is dead, ending of the down. And yeah, the touchdown goes to the Denver Broncos, pushed them up 10-0. So shout out to them. Now let's talk about a muff, because a muff is a little bit different. Have you ever heard this term before? MUFF. If you play football a while, you've probably heard this term before. But if you have not played football before, this might be a weird term. So what is a muff? A muff is the touching of a loose ball by a player in an unsuccessful attempt to obtain possession of it. Now, where do we normally hear this term? Well, we normally hear this term during a kick, right? So it says no. I'm going to read the notes real quick. Any ball intentionally muffed forward as a bat may be a foul. Touching the ball refers to any contact with the ball. So there's no distinction between a player touching the ball with his hands or any other part of his body, including his hair, except as specifically provided in certain rules, right? Those certain rules would be touching a kick during an attempted field goal, an ineligible offensive player touching a forward pass or behind or beyond the line of scrimmage. However, the definition of a muff is a touching of a loose ball by a player in an unsuccessful attempt to obtain possession of it. Now, this brings me to a very interesting question. When a quarterback passes the ball, when it's in the air, it's a loose ball. If a cornerback, a defender, tries to obtain possession of it by intercepting it, and they touch it, but they drop it, is that a muff? And that's a real question. That is a real question that I have a question about this. This is not me quizzing you. This is how inquisitive I also am. When I say that there is no shame here, no dumb downs, I know a lot about football. And sometimes I read these rules again and then something else comes to my mind. Like, dang, I've always said like, oh, the cornerback dropped it. But a drop wouldn't necessarily be that. It would be a muff. Maybe by the rules of this, right? Or do we change the stat for drops to also be muffs? Because a muff is a touching of a loose ball by a player in an unsuccessful attempt to obtain possession of it. Hell, if a receiver is trying to catch a ball and they drop it, is that a muff? Questions that I have, if you are an official, please let me know. I would love to talk to somebody from football operations to really like talk about the definition here. Because if we talk about the definition of a loose ball, well, the loose ball, you said a loose ball is considered to be in the possession of the team who kicked it, passed it, or fumbled it. Well, and you said a loose ball is a live ball that's not in player possession. So any ball that's been kicked, passed, or fumbled. And if that's the case, and then the pass is, a muff is that I'm trying to touch the ball, or I do touch the ball, a loose ball by a player. Well, I'm trying to catch it, but I don't catch it. But here's an example that they would normally say on a broadcast, right? So if you are not watching, maybe here's time where you can turn your eyes toward the screen. On a broadcast, this is an example of what they would call a muff. So here's a kickoff. Here's a play between the Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears. Are they still going to call Chicago Bears if the Chicago Bears move? I don't know. Here we go. Titans are kicking to the Bears. The Titans kick the ball off deep right. He's going to go try to catch this ball, this kick, and he drops it, right? He drops it. Tennessee recovers. That's a muff because this is a loose ball while it's in the air, and this player is going to attempt to secure possession by catching the ball, but he touches it. So he touched the loose ball, boom, and he drops it. That's a muff. Now, they would say that's a muff, and I'm just now, just inquisitive about, what else would they call a muff? I don't know. I think maybe you should call a drop a muff or a dropped interception a muff. I have too many questions, man. I have too many questions. Let's get back to the rules, though. You don't want to hear things about my question because the last thing we're going to talk about is player possession. And this is one of the hardest things that I think gets scrutinized every single year, as it should. And people look into for the rules every single year, because this comes into play a lot when it comes to catching a football, right? Typically, when somebody already has possession of a football, when they're running or something like that, it's very obvious when somebody has possession of the football in those instances. But when a player is trying to catch the football or something like that, well, when does a player have possession? Let's talk about it. This is what the definition says. So again, this is not Cori's Corner. This is NFL football operations. They say in Article 7 that a player is in possession when he is inbounds and has control of the ball with his hands or arms. Now, Somebody fumbles the ball, there's a dog pile, and underneath the dog pile is a guy who has a ball in between his legs. Does he have possession? No, because it says player possession. You have to have control of the ball with your hands or your arms, which is why if I'm on the bottom of that pile and you got the ball between your legs, we gonna scrap, and I'm gonna go get that ball because it says hands or arms, not legs. Now to go further, it says to gain possession of a loose ball that has been caught, intercepted, or recovered. A player must A, have complete control of the ball with his hands or arms, and B, have both feet or any other part of his body other than his hands completely on the ground in bounds. So A and B have to happen, right? Complete control of the ball with his hands or arms, and both feet or any other part of his body other than his hands completely on the ground in bounds. But that is not only it, because after A and B are fulfilled, you have to also clearly perform any common act to the game. Right? So an example of that could be extend the ball forward, take an additional step, tuck the ball away and turn upfield, or avoid or ward off an opponent, right? Make a little juke or something like that. Now, it is not necessary that he commits such an act, provided that he maintains control of the ball long enough to do so. So what do I mean by that? Bring my football back. If I catch the ball, boom, in my hands, and I get 2 feet in the playing field, I have completed a catch, but I still need to do something else. I either have to have the ball long enough to have clearly performed any act common to the game, or I need to perform any act that is common to the game. So I need to stick the ball out. I need to tuck the ball in. I need to take an additional step. I need to juke somebody. I need to avoid somebody, right? Or I can just catch the ball and stand there. And if I had enough time, probably 1 or 2 seconds that are, I can look around. I had enough time to do that. I just didn't do that. That's still also player possession. That would still be a catch. Argued every single year, probably the most controversial of calls. And when you're sitting at home on your couch, you're probably yelling too, "Oh, that was a catch." Well, it clears mud sometimes, right? that to me there's a lot of subjectivity when it comes to this specific situation. Was it long enough for this person to have made a move? I don't know. In slow-mo, everything looked like it's long enough, but in real time, it may look different. Some notes here that are important: that movement of the ball doesn't automatically result in a loss of control. It's a big one. Another thing would be if a player who's completed the first 2 requirements, but not the 3rd requirement for possession, if that player contacts the ground and loses control of the ball, there is no possession if the ball hits the ground before he regains control, or if he regains control out of bounds. So let's say he I want to say the Zach Ertz, right? I think it was Zach Ertz in the Super Bowl when he dove across the line and the ball popped up and he was like on his back and he regained possession of the ball because the ball fell back on top of him. That would be possession. Now, if the ball hit the ground again, it would be an incomplete pass. There would be no possession of the ball. Also, the terms catch, intercept, recover, advance, and fumble denote player possession, right? As distinguished from touching or muffing. So there was possession already. You would have to have possession to catch the ball, intercept it, recover it, advance the ball, or fumble the ball. You would have to already have possession of that. So that's today's rulings, right? When we talk about the football, now you know so much about the ball itself and terms when it comes to definitions, when it comes to the ball and the possession of the ball. I think that's going to make you so much better of a football watcher when you watch football in the future. Specifically, we're talking about the NFL because rules in college and stuff may be different. But when you're watching this, you'll have a little bit more knowledge to be able to speak on these things. Though, I ain't gonna lie, again, I really do think people, I need to know somebody, if you know somebody who is an official or have contacted them, or if you want to tag NFL football operations below, I need to know, because if a ball is in flight and it's a loose ball, if I'm a defender trying to obtain possession of that loose ball and I touch it, but I don't gain possession of it, is that a muff? Like, that's got my mind plagued, bro. That has my mind plagued. Okay. Certainly, we're going to move on to my favorite segment is when people write in dumb downs, you know what I'm saying? People have questions. And today we have a question from Tony Reynolds. Shout out to Tony Reynolds who submitted this. Tony said, "Hi, Cori. Do players have any loyalty to the teams that they are on, or do they play until they get traded or released? And so they can't afford to have loyalty because they might end up on an enemy team afterwards. Now, I have never played in NFL, so I couldn't necessarily tell you what an NFL player feels this way. Now, I do understand a little bit about contracting and also about business in general. And this is not necessarily a dumb question. I love this, right? Especially when you talk about different eras. So in an older era, I feel like with an older generation, they really do enjoy the optics of what we would call loyalty, right? Being drafted to a team, sticking with that team, continuing your contracts with that team because you were drafted with that team. I mean, let's look at a Myles Garrett, right? I will use him as in this situation, I would use him as kind of like the litmus test to this question, or the poster child for this question, right? Myles was drafted to the Browns, and he played with the Browns. He had a fantastic career with the Browns, and he continued to get different contracts with the Browns, right? And so you would think that, yeah, I mean, he's done so much. He has some sort of loyalty to the Browns, and I'm sure that he probably even felt that way maybe at some point. But there's a tipping point. At some point, you also recognize this is a business. What do you want for your legacy? Now, for Myles Garrett, I'm sure his legacy, he doesn't want to just end on just being an individually great player. There's a lot of individually great players, but you want to also have championships when you are and want to be a champion. There's no doubt that Myles Garrett is one of the best defenders who have ever graced a football field. But what will people say about Myles Garrett if he does not go and get a championship? And it's hard to do that on a team like the Browns, where maybe the front office isn't always that great, right? And so now he's playing with the Los Angeles Rams, and that's a little bit of a cheat code if you ask me. But, the chance of the Rams being a better Super Bowl contender than the Browns, that gap is large. The Rams are definitely a Super Bowl contender. The Browns are not, especially like right now if we're looking on paper. And so I don't think it's wise to have too much loyalty to a team if your goal is to be a champion. It is already hard to win a Super Bowl. You would increase your odds by going to teams that are already kind of Super Bowl caliber teams than staying on the team and trying to build over the years to get to that one opportunity. So that's what I would say, right? Like you don't have to you can do whatever you want to. You could be a loyal person and say, I'm gonna stay on the team for forever. But you're also at the whim of the organization. The organization can trade you at any time they want to trade you, unless you have like a no trade clause in your contract. But yeah, you can get traded. You could be loyal to a team, but a team not loyal to you, for sure. This is business. If you're not fitting here and we can get some more value for you, sayonara. You are up out of there. But that, Tony, is a great question. Not a dumb question at all. I applaud you for submitting that question. Thank you so much for submitting that. Anyway, reading is a lot, man. We read out loud. I tell you. If you have stayed this long, thank you so much for staying this long and learning so much about football. Again, make sure you click the subscribe button, listen to anywhere you get your podcast. Make sure that you click the little notification bell so you know that when I post. And if you want to really join this community, I really want to continue to build a community of people who really love football and who want to learn football. In a community where I go a little bit more intimate and deeper, maybe one-on-one level with people, and really analyze the game more than you can get on YouTube. I also do have a Patreon. If you want to get on there, look up subscriptions. I mean, less than a coffee a month for sure. Just want to put in time that is useful time for you all. But already, thank you so much for being someone who is supporting this, and I hope you're learning something from this. Anyway, God is love. I love all. Come back to the next video. We can talk some ball. Peace out.